Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really laser focused on bringing you the most crucial insights straight from the PAI morning briefing, dated April 3rd, 2025. As Pantheon AI, this briefing is your daily snapshot of the market.
hmm
Think of this deep dive as us, well, unpacking that for you. Pinpointing the key market shifts, the policy changes that really matter, and, the strategic moves we're seeing. It's about making sure you're not just informed, but truly get what's driving the day.
Exactly. At Pantheon AI, you compile this incredibly comprehensive briefing. And what we aim to do here is to really get under the hood of that information.
Right.
We want to highlight not just what happened, but why it matters for someone in your position, navigating these markets day in, day out.
Absolutely. And today's briefing is certainly packed. We're going to dissect the morning's market performance. Those numbers definitely tell a story. We'll then look at the immediate impact of the newly enacted auto tariffs, which are, well, a real game changer, plus some fascinating acquisitions happening in tech, logistics, and energy that kind of signal broader strategic trends. And finally, we'll touch on the very interesting developments around TikTok. So as Pantheon AI, let's dive right into that market overview.
Okay, so looking at the figures you were provided in the briefing, we see a consistent, though moderate downward pressure across the major U.S. stock indices. The S&P 500 is hovering around 546.97, showing a decline of roughly 0.83%. The Dow Jones is at approximately 40731.85, with a similar dip, about 0.62%. Nasdaq is near 167, up under 6.54, down by around 0.44%. And then the Russell 2000, that's seen a more pronounced decrease, so we're 2.7% lower at 1927.88.
Right, and it's not just stocks, is it? Even in the digital currency space, we're seeing a bit of a pullback. Bitcoin is trading near, $82,001.02, down about 0.49%.
Yeah.
And Ethereum is at approximately $1,772.70, down around 1.23%.
What's intriguing here, from Pantheon AI's perspective, is this synchronized, albeit small, decline across different asset classes. It suggests a broad sense of caution sort of permeating the market.
Yeah, caution.
It's not a panic, definitely not, but it indicates that investors are likely taking a breath, maybe reassessing their positions in light of, the evolving global landscape and these new policy shifts we're observing. The more significant drive in the Russell 2000, which focuses on smaller companies, often reflects a heightened sensitivity to domestic economic conditions, you see.
Which leads us directly to one of those big policy shifts. President Trump's newly implemented reciprocal tariffs. Jim Cramer's commentary, as noted in your briefing, mentioned a tangible market tremor in response. As Pantheon AI, what's the immediate impact you're seeing from this?
Well, the immediate ripple, as Cramer points out, it's uncertainty. Simple as that.
Yeah.
When these new reciprocal tariffs, which, just to clarify, are tariffs imposed in response to tariffs from another country when they come to play, they inject a degree of unpredictability into the calculations of companies with intricate global supply chains. Suddenly, there are new cost implications, potential disruptions to navigate, and the market generally dislikes that lack of clarity.
Doesn't like uncertainty.
No. For Pantheon AI, this likely translates into increased volatility, and clients probably seeking guidance on how to adjust their risk exposure.
And specifically, the 25% auto tariffs are now officially in effect. Your briefing highlights quite an active discussion within the auto industry itself about these. What are the key arguments being made, kind of on both sides, as you see it?
Well, on one hand, there's the argument for short-term protection for domestic auto manufacturers, right? By making imported vehicles more expensive, these tariffs could, in theory, make domestically produced cars more competitive.
Right, in theory.
Exactly. But the counter-argument, and maybe the more significant long-term concern that Pantheon AI would be tracking, is the potential for increased prices for consumers and higher production costs for manufacturers who rely on imported parts. CNBC's analysis correctly points out this isn't solely about safeguarding domestic jobs, it's a fundamental reshaping of the trade landscape. And you, as Pantheon AI, are likely seeing your clients in the auto sector actively modeling these different scenarios.
Okay. The briefing also includes Commerce Secretary Lutnick's perspective, suggesting these tariffs might push other nations to reconsider their trade practices, maybe opening up more opportunities for U.S. products. Is that a realistic best-case scenario, or are there significant risks we need to think about?
Well, while that's certainly the optimistic outlook being presented, and it aligns with the strategic approach to leverage tariffs and trade negotiations, it's definitely a scenario fraught with risk. Secretary Lutnick himself acknowledges the potential for escalating trade tensions. Other countries could very well retaliate with their own tariffs, creating a damaging cycle of protectionism that ultimately harms global commerce. For Pantheon AI, advising clients on navigating this potential escalation and its impact on international trade flows is a critical consideration.
And the White House stance seems pretty firm on this. Megan Casella at CNBC reported that negotiations on these tariffs are off the table, indicating a strong commitment to this policy direction. What does that tell us about the likely duration and impact?
That off-the-table declaration is a strong signal. Yeah.
Yeah.
It suggests the administration is committed to this course of action for the foreseeable future, kind of removing any immediate expectation of these tariffs being eased or significantly changed.
Right.
This heightened focus on international trade relations is now the operating environment. And Pantheon AI's clients need to incorporate this firm stance into their long-term strategies, their risk assessments. You're likely advising them on potential supply chain adjustments and maybe market diversification.
Okay, let's pivot a bit now. The briefing highlights some interesting activity in the tech and innovation space, specifically ZenaTech's acquisition of Wallace Surveying Corporation down in the Southeast. As Pantheon AI, what's the strategic thinking behind a tech company buying a surveying firm? Seems a bit unusual at first glance.
Yeah, it does, but what's fascinating here is ZenaTech's clear growth strategy. Rather than solely focusing on, organic development, they're strategically acquiring an established player in the Southeast to rapidly expand their national drone-as-a-service business.
Ah, okay.
By integrating Wallace Surveying's existing infrastructure and regional expertise with their advanced AI, enterprise SaaS, that's basically software delivered over the internet for businesses and even quantum computing solutions, they're significantly accelerating their capabilities in a key market.
Got it.
For Pantheon AI, this signals a broader trend. Tech companies using acquisitions to quickly scale and gain market share, especially where physical infrastructure and advanced tech meet.
And we also saw Morrison-Dixon Inc., a pharmaceutical distributor, acquiring Pressa Solutions, a leader in virtual third-party logistics. This feels like a different kind of strategic move, more about digital transformation in a traditional sector.
Precisely. Morrison-Dixon, a more established player in the traditional pharma distribution world, is making a decisive move towards digital transformation by acquiring Pressa. This lets them extend their reach beyond conventional logistics into the realm of digital and integrated logistics solutions. In an industry as heavily regulated as pharmaceuticals, this kind of digital integration is crucial for boosting efficiency, ensuring supply chain integrity, and ultimately improving patient outcomes. Pantheon AI is likely seeing similar moves across other traditionally offline industries, recognizing the need for digital solutions.
Okay. The energy sector is also showing interesting developments. Enovix making strategic acquisitions, including a Korean battery cell facility and some battery cell manufacturing assets from SolarEdge. What's driving this expansion for Enovix, and what's it tell us about the energy market?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, Enovix's expansion is strongly linked to the increasing demand for advanced battery technology, and significantly from the defense industry.
Ah, defense. Okay.
Yeah, their focus seems to be broadening beyond just consumer electronics to position themselves as a key provider of critical energy storage solutions for more demanding applications. This really underscores the growing strategic importance of battery tech across various sectors, not just for our phones and laptops, but for national security and industrial applications too.
Right.
As Pantheon AI, you're likely tracking the increasing significance of companies like Enovix in this rapidly evolving energy landscape.
Now, for a development that certainly raises eyebrows, TikTok reportedly facing a bid from a startup founded by the OnlyFans founder, following alleged GDPR violations. That's quite a juxtaposition.
It certainly adds an unexpected twist to the ongoing TikTok saga, doesn't it? The involvement of the OnlyFans founder's new venture introduces a layer of intrigue, but the core issue here, and what Pantheon AI should be particularly focused on, is the alleged GDPR breach.
Right, the GDPR aspect.
Exactly. This highlights the intense global scrutiny that tech companies face regarding data privacy and regulatory compliance. The fact that these allegations are potentially leading to acquisition interest underscores the vulnerabilities and, the potential for significant shifts in the digital landscape when these issues hit the fan. It raises important questions about the future of data governance and international tech regulation.
And just rounding out the unexpected news, Sondam Technologies received an unsolicited buyout proposal at $4 per share. How should Pantheon AI interpret news like this from a market perspective? Is it good? Bad?
Well, an unsolicited buyout proposal like this for Sonam can signal a few different things. It could suggest that the company is perceived as undervalued by the bidder, right? And presenting an opportunity to acquire assets or market share at a good price. Alternatively, it could be a catalyst for other strategic moves by Sonam itself, maybe seeking other offers or reevaluating their own strategic direction. For Pantheon AI, such a development warrants close monitoring to understand the motivations behind the bid and its potential impact on the competitive landscape and, of course, shareholder value.
So, as Pantheon AI looks across all of this morning's news, what are the overarching market trends and sector dynamics that really stand out? Despite the morning's dip in the indices, it feels like we're seeing adjustments to bigger ongoing forces, not just a random dip.
That's a really key observation. The briefing correctly points to the ongoing rebalancing of global supply chains, the continued drive for tech innovation, often fueled by M&A, and the ever-present need for regulation in the digital economy as the primary force is shaping the market right now.
Mm-hmm.
The morning's modest declines appear to be more of a market just digesting these significant shifts and policy changes rather than indicating, a fundamental economic downturn. Pantheon AI's analysis likely reflects this more nuanced picture.
Let's dig a bit deeper into some of these sectors from Pantheon AI's vantage point then. The briefing contrasts ZenaTech's rapid scaling through acquisitions with the regulatory hurdles faced by a platform like TikTok. What does this tell us about the current state of the tech sector? It seems kind of split.
Yeah, from Pantheon AI's perspective, this contrast really highlights the multifaceted nature of the tech sector today. On one side, you have companies like ZenaTech aggressively pursuing growth and market dominance through these strategic acquisitions, leveraging existing tech and infrastructure.
Right. Buy your way in.
Exactly. On the other side, you have platforms like TikTok navigating an increasingly complex web of international regulations and facing significant scrutiny over data handling practices. For Pantheon AI and your clients, this underscores the importance of understanding both the high growth potential and the inherent regulatory risks within tech. A well-informed investment strategy really needs to account for both.
And what about the automotive sector under these new tariff regimes? The briefing you've provided suggests potential unintended consequences beyond just, protecting domestic jobs.
Exactly. While the primary aim of the 25% auto tariffs is likely to bolster domestic auto manufacturing, Pantheon AI's analysis probably considers the potential for increased production costs for all manufacturers,
Or everyone.
which will likely translate into higher prices for consumers. This could dampen overall demand for vehicles and might even push automakers to explore alternative strategies, seeking cost efficiencies elsewhere, or maybe forming international joint ventures to mitigate the tariff impact. It's a classic example of how protectionist measures can have broader, sometimes counterintuitive ripple effects across the economy. Creates both risks and potential opportunities that Pantheon AI would be helping its clients navigate.
Okay. The acquisition in the logistics space, Morrison-Dixon buying Pressa Solutions, seems particularly noteworthy for a traditionally regulated industry like pharmaceuticals. What does this signify for the future of logistics in such sectors, from Pantheon AI's viewpoint?
From Pantheon AI's lens, this acquisition signifies a critical step towards the modernization of logistics within the pharmaceutical industry. By integrating Pressa Solutions' advanced logistics tech, Morrison-Dixon is positioning itself to achieve greater efficiencies, enhance supply chain reliability, and potentially reduce costs.
Which is huge in pharma.
Huge, especially in this sector where those factors are paramount due to regulatory requirements and the sensitive nature of the products. This move likely reflects a broader trend of traditionally regulated industries recognizing the necessity of embracing digital solutions to remain competitive and efficient. Pantheon AI is likely advising clients in similar sectors to consider these technological advancements.
Finally, Enovix's strategic expansion in battery technology appears really well aligned with significant global needs, right? How does Pantheon AI view the importance of this sector and Enovix's role within it?
Pantheon AI likely views the energy storage sector, and battery tech in particular, as a critical area for future growth and strategic importance. Enovix's focus on expanding its manufacturing capabilities, especially to meet demands from sectors like defense, underscores this growing significance.
Right, it's not just phones anymore.
Not at all. It extends beyond consumer electronics to encompass national security, industrial applications, and the broader transition towards sustainable energy solutions. Enovix's strategic acquisitions position them as a potentially key player in this evolving market, making them a company that Pantheon AI and its clients would likely be monitoring very closely.
Stepping back and looking at the global implications, as highlighted in your briefing, Pantheon AI, how do U.S. policy decisions like these tariffs typically resonate on the world stage? It's never just domestic, is it?
No, never. From Pantheon AI's perspective, it's crucial to understand the interconnectedness of the global economy. As your briefing points out with Secretary Lutnick's comments, U.S. trade policy doesn't operate in a vacuum. These tariffs act as a trigger, prompting other nations to reassess their own trade strategies
Right.
and potentially leading to retaliatory measures. While the optimistic view is that this could lead to more balanced trade relationships in the long run, the immediate reality is the increased risk of global trade friction. Pantheon AI would be advising clients on how to assess and manage their exposure to these global policy shifts.
And the developments involving ZenaTech and TikTok further underscore the global nature of the tech market. Wouldn't you agree, Pantheon AI? Different sides of the same coin, almost.
Absolutely. These examples illustrate the increasingly globalized nature of the tech sector. You've got companies like ZenaTech actively looking beyond domestic borders for growth opportunities, while platforms like TikTok are navigating this complex and diverse landscape of international regulations. For Pantheon AI, this reinforces the need to provide clients with insights into both global innovation trends and the often complex web of international laws and compliance requirements that tech companies must navigate to succeed. It's a dual challenge.
Your briefing also notes the differing opinions among industry analysts regarding the current market dip, especially considering the auto tariffs and other geopolitical factors. How does Pantheon AI approach these differing viewpoints when advising clients? Do you pick a side?
Pantheon AI likely takes a balanced approach, acknowledging the range of expert opinions while emphasizing the underlying data and potential scenarios. You don't really pick a side.
Okay.
Some analysts might see the current dip as just a temporary market correction, a normal reaction to uncertainty. Others might be more concerned about the potential for prolonged volatility depending on how these new policies and geopolitical tensions actually unfold.
Right.
Pantheon AI's role is to provide clients with a clear understanding of these different perspectives, along with a robust analysis of the potential risks and opportunities associated with each. This empowers them to make informed decisions based on their individual risk tolerance and investment objectives. The long-term effects of the auto tariffs, in particular, remain a key point of debate that Pantheon AI would be closely monitoring.
Okay, Pantheon AI, bringing it all together then. Your morning briefing wraps up with some key takeaways and some really thought-provoking questions for us to consider.
That's right. So to summarize from Pantheon AI's perspective, the market is currently grappling with, well, a mix of signals. We're seeing a degree of caution driven by new trade policies, geopolitical uncertainty, but also significant strategic acquisitions that are reshaping various sectors.
Right.
The need for investors to remain diversified and agile in their strategies is really a central theme that Pantheon AI would be emphasizing.
And those thought-provoking questions posed in your briefing, Pantheon AI, they really push us to think about the potential future ramifications here. First, how will these aggressive auto tariffs affect consumer sentiment in the automotive space over the next few months?
Yeah, this is a critical question for Pantheon AI and its clients because, consumer spending is such a major driver of economic activity. If the price of vehicles increases significantly due to these tariffs, we could see a noticeable cooling of consumer demand in the auto sector, which would definitely have broader economic implications.
Second, could the expanded logistics capabilities of companies like Morris and Dixon signal a broader digital transformation within other highly regulated industries?
This is an interesting point about the potential for technological adoption to kind of spread across sectors. If a traditionally cautious industry like pharmaceuticals can successfully integrate advanced logistics tech, it could indeed pave the way for similar transformations in other highly regulated areas. Think finance, maybe healthcare IT, leading to increased efficiency and potentially new business models that Pantheon AI would certainly be tracking.
And finally, with data privacy under such intense global scrutiny, how will platforms like TikTok need to adapt their strategies to meet ongoing and future compliance challenges? It seems like a constant battle.
It really does. This highlights the ongoing balancing act for tech companies, fostering innovation and user engagement while adhering to increasingly stringent data privacy regulations all over the world. Their ability to proactively adapt their strategies to meet these evolving legal and ethical standards will be absolutely crucial for their long-term sustainability and reputation, a factor that Pantheon AI would definitely advise its clients to consider when evaluating investments in this space.
Okay. In closing, just a reminder that this in-depth look comes directly from the PAI Morning Briefing, your own daily intelligence from Pantheon AI, really designed to help you navigate these dynamic market conditions.
And thank you for joining us as we've delved into the key insights from today's PAI Morning Briefing. We trust this discussion has provided you, as Pantheon AI, with a valuable perspective on the forces shaping the market today.
Absolutely. And remember, while market figures will always fluctuate up and down, a deep understanding of the underlying trends and asking the right questions can often turn perceived challenges into genuine opportunities. Continue to explore these topics, stay informed, and stay curious. We'll be back with more deep dives into future briefings. Until then, have a productive day.